Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome to this Apex Racing TV presentation of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. It's round 9 of Season 2 2022 and we're here in the land of the rising sun, 200 miles southwest of Tokyo on the full course Okayama layout. Host to the Pacific Grand Prix in 94 and 95, it's a tight, twisty little layout which will be perfectly suited to these cars. I'm Adam Hadfield. Joining me in the commentary box, as ever, is Sam Fitzpatrick, and on cameras we've got Jonathan Grabowski. So, Sam, last week we established that the only reason anyone does this series is to impress you. So, who have you got your eyes on tonight?
Well, I think, as always, got to have our eyes on Aeronom, because he is the championship leader, as he has been for the entire season. So, going to be watching out for him, but I think there's a lot of different drivers who can come out on top tonight. Brilliant round at Nürburgring. I think possibly the best round at the championship. The driving quality was so high. I think the guys are really getting better and better. I know that some of these drivers have been around this series and been driving this car for years, but it really seemed like Nürburgring, there was a step up, and around this circuit, a track that all these drivers know so well, we could see one of the most competitive grids of the season.
Yep, we're on board with Aeronom at the moment. He's ahead of qualifying as we're just coming towards the end of that 30-minute session. We'll have 5 minutes in between the end of this and the start of the racing proper. So we've got a few minutes just to chat about what we're expecting to see here tonight. But before we do that, we best mention our sponsor, RaceVoice, and go through their message as ever. RaceVoice is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Weekend Warriors get 50% off the annual sim pricing using a promo code of WW50. So take some time and check them out at www.racevoice.com. And I'm sure if we give Jonathan a second, we'll have a look at the standings next. Yeah, the RaceVoice sponsored standings as they are. There they are. First up, our Spec 1 category. As Sam's already mentioned, Aeronom leading the way on 662 points, the only driver so far this season to bag 2 wins. Close following him on 568 points is Friends Arabian, yet to actually secure a win tonight in this season, but he is the only other driver to have finished with 7 top 10s along with Aeronom, so obviously the consistency paying off for Friends there. Jason Green currently in 3rd place on 489 with Yuangshi Lin and Matthias Weiger making up your top 5, followed by Marnie Bertoni, Austin Winner, Miro Haraski and Michael Dobek, another of our race winners so far this season. They're in 10th in the Spec 1s. Next up, highlighted in green, are our Spec 2 drivers, currently leading the field. Thomas Renders has been there all season, currently on 488 points ahead of Flavio Andalo and last season's champion Alan McCain on 360. Ian Gibson and Juice Simpkins make up 4th and 5th ahead of Favini, Batenga, Paul Jackson and Vogel, and in 10th place in Spec 2 Michael Vaglini on 220 points. And finally our Masters category for drivers over the age of 50, Chris Murakami as ever leading the standings on 446 ahead of Adam Bradshaw and Antonio Reyes, Bob Kern, Marcus Burkitt, Jan Longin, Jim Brewster, Michael Jean and Stevie Ray, series founder, tied for 8th on 216 points ahead of Kurt Nunez. So that rounds out our championship standings. Most of those names showing up again tonight. Obviously, I've already mentioned Aeronom leading the way in qualifying, but he's got Friends Arabian alongside him on the front row. Now, this circuit is obviously familiar to pretty much everyone within the iRacing family. It's somewhere you tend to visit in your early stages. Sam, when was the last time you was here?
And you know, I never put down an opportunity to boast, and so here we go again. So the last time I was here was in the Apex Racing League Super Trucks, I believe. I think I won 2 races that night, and of course, don't need to remind people, I'm sure they all were watching me take the championship in that one. Very good in the Pro 2 Light Trucks, so thanks for teeing me up on that one. Always appreciate it. But no, it's so good. It's so good. I always say pretty much every car that we visit this track in, I say, oh, this is a really good track for these cars. And you know, even I mean, a couple of years ago, I was racing the FW31, the Williams 2009 F1 car, best car in the sim, of course. And even in that, I mean, impossible to overtake, but a lot of fun, and that's just one of the challenges of this track. But in these cars, it's perfectly sized, of course, in MX-5s as well. It's absolutely perfect for these cars, not too wide, not too narrow. You got some straights, you got some big braking areas, so they just really nicely weighted. I mean, it's not necessarily how you build a circuit nowadays, but everything seems very well designed, very kind of purposely built.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'll be giving these boys any racing line tips in the 4x4s, will you, Sam?
If they want to go fast, then no, I'll keep my mouth shut on that one.
Certainly some grass-based lines in that particular series. These guys have got to keep it on the black stuff. We're watching Andrew Love at the moment. He's qualified pretty much bang in the middle of the pack, 27th. I'm very happy to say we've got a full contingent back tonight. 48 drivers at the moment that I can see out there. Last week we did obviously clash with some racing in the real world, so a few with their priorities in the wrong order, I think. But no, very happy to see we're going to have a full contingent tonight, which always guarantees at least a little bit of mayhem somewhere during the race. Anyone not familiar with this series, it's a 40-minute race with a pit stop somewhere in the middle there. We've got limited fuel tanks, so drivers are forced to make a pit stop, and that always throws up a little bit of strategy. Do you pit early, get out of the traffic, or do you leave it till the last second and really run it down to the fumes and then spend as little possible as time loading the fuel back up? As we're just about coming to the end of our warm-up time, a few seconds remain, and then we'll have a chance to see how everyone's lined up. Run you through the entire grid as these drivers will have a short heat-up lap. As we just watch Chris Murakami, I imagine, heading the Masters field once again tonight. I'll see that in a second. Yeah, and session comes to an end. and reloads. Drivers start making their way onto the grid. Meanwhile, we can look at the standings for the get-go. Aeronom claims pole with a 140.396, a full 10th ahead of his main championship rival, Friends Arabian. Wang Shilin lines up third ahead of Jörg Marni. And I got it wrong, it's Antonio Reyes leading the Masters category. First Masters driver lines up fifth tonight. Michael Dobek is sixth ahead of Jason Green. Simon Mayer in eighth, and Chris Murakami lines up ninth ahead of Dudo Castro in 10th. Steve Ellison in 11th, the number 56, ahead of Flavio Andalo, the first of our Spec 2 drivers in the 415 there. Lining up at the head of row 7 is Jeff Fritscher, ahead of Jesus Rodriguez, Jan Batenga in 15th, and Adam Bradshaw 16th. Mira Hraski 17th, and Alan McCain in 18th. Marcus Burkitt lines up 19th ahead of Andrea Favini. Stevie Ray, as ever, I mentioned, series founder and organiser, there in the 911. Tom Renders, Spec 2 championship leader currently, way down in 22nd. We don't normally see him that far down, he's normally somewhere in the top 10. Ian Gibson in 23rd ahead of Jim Brewster. And I'm very aware that drivers are coming around to the start, so I'm going to have to really run through these. Michael Nelson in 25th ahead of Juice Simpkins. Andrew Love 27th ahead of Jeff Jacobson. Kurt Nunez, Steve Michel, and that's only going to do the top 30 as the standings moved away and we get ready to go green. Porsche safety car working around the penultimate corner. It's going to file off to the right hand side and then we'll be under the control of Aeronom. Two lines of cars eager to get going. Aeronom gently makes it way. Oh, we've got some contact in the back there. Some drivers nose to tail, but Aeronom's fussed about that. He's away. Gets a fantastic launch off the line. Arabian comes straight in behind him. Marni on the outside of Wang Shilin looks to pull across as well, but the right hand side getting a big jump there as we head down into turn 1. We've already seen some carnage. Let's hope we don't get any more as we complete the first racing corner. Everyone looks to have got through there fairly cleanly. As we go on the inboard cam, drivers shoot over that inside curve. It's a tough corner, that second corner. Not always easy to get it turned back in for a late apex through the Moss S and down to the first heavy braking point, but apart from that stack up at the start, everyone seems to have got away well, Sam.
Yeah, Marni was absolutely dreadful off the line. I think he, if anything, got hit slightly behind by Reyes. He was just wanting to get away, so that is why he lost that position then to Marni, albeit he's trying to get back into the hairpin. Now the 160 just about clear. He's going to be the latest on the brakes. Well, very good there from Green to hold on, although he's gone super wide, the cold tyres, maybe just edging him out to the perimeter of the circuit. And it's Murakami keeping tabs with the Masters class winner or leader at the moment. Green gets him left quite far behind. Good to see Green back up there. He's had a couple of rounds where he hasn't been fighting for the top positions, but struggling a little bit around this middle part.
That's a really impressive start for Chris Murakami, immediately up from 9th to 6th, and he's got his main rival, number 914 of Reyes, hot in front of him. We go on board with Dudu Castro, running in 11th, just outside of the top 10, with spine on the back of Steve Ellison at the moment. As this long queue of cars comes round to complete the first lap, that's one lap in the books, and most of the cars are still all in straight panel order. Aeronom through turn 1. He's got a half-second gap immediately. That's not enough to break the slipstream at this point, but as long as he keeps his pedal down to the metal, I imagine he's going to break away with at least these front 5, it seems. Chris Murakami, having to come up through the pack, has just left him a little bit disassociated with these front 5.
Yeah, he's crucially out of the draft, and of course the draft, you don't think of it as being particularly important around this circuit, as I think Arabian, has he just got underneath not there? Seems like he has, so Arabian now leads the race. But yeah, the draft not super important, but of course these guys are so even matched. If it gains you 0.2 of a second, you want those 0.2 of a second. As we see a bit of bump drafting there, not having no interest in retaking the lead. So at the moment, a top 5, how great would it be if Reyes could come away with a victory? Castro is off in the back, and I think I see some smoke, and maybe it's smoke from the tyres, maybe it's smoke from the gravel. But he has lost a lot of time there. I think he was up, well, he started up in P10, Dick Castro. He was around that region, but he has lost it very early on in the hairpin, I think. And we'll find out exactly what happened to him. He was raced with the number 56 of Steve Elson. So this was for 10th and 11th position. You can see he was diving very late, but despite the banking on that corner, or the camber maybe more accurately describing it, he could not get the car slowed down.
Yeah, that was interesting. It just seems to have been a pure lockup, doesn't it? Sometimes in those situations, if you're watching your inside for your opponent, you might just stray onto the grass or something. But no, just seemed to overshoot the corner. It cost him 10 places. He's immediately back on the fight though, looking at Tom Renders in front of him. As we go back to the leaders, yeah, Arabian. I don't know how he got in front of Nom. Nom had about half a second lead as we approached turn 4, but then suddenly Arabian was in the lead. We might get a replay of just exactly how that all unfolded. But rolls reserved from a half-second lead for Nom. It's now a half-second lead for Arabian. And here we go. I put the request in. Jonathan serves up the replay for us. Let's just see how this unfolded. Yeah, he's just gone very deep. Has he got a little bit loose on the brakes there, maybe?
Yeah, seemed to be almost mid-corner there, and lost the position. And yeah, Arabian's got a little bit of a gap, but I'm sure Nom's got the pace to keep up. It seems very close around this part of the circuit. So Dobek is up to 6th. Wasn't in that position previously, was he? So he has got past Murakami, and I think he may have got past Green fairly recently as well. Dobek won a couple of weeks ago at Spa. And so very good job, but crucially that 4 seconds behind the race lead is Dobek already. He's got a long train. This goes back to Botenga in 13th position, and then you got another very long queue going into the lower reaches of the top 20. So Dobek wants to try to get away. He's had a couple of very strong corners there, trying to get away from Chris Murakami as the top 5 stay very close.
Yeah, I'm sure Chris will be happy to see a race winner and pro driver in front of him, trying to drag him along. He doesn't want to let this gap grow too much more, though. Otherwise, he'll lose the tow and have Green behind him and Mayer trying to make their own moves and follow Dobek up to the front. But as you mentioned, a 4-second gap already. That's an aeon in these cars. Very difficult to close that kind of gap down, especially when the leading pack is led by Arabian and Nom. We're back with Murahaski at the moment. He's fighting with Bradshaw. He's looking down the inside. Bradshaw just gives him enough room as they work their way through the right-hander, climbing the hill. It looks like Bradshaw's got the momentum. He's going to clear Murahaski's nose again. Will he move to defend, though? Oh, as Favini's behind as well. Favini's got a good exit. It's going to be 3 wide down to the turn 5 hairpin. And Murahaski has to give best, I think, there. Oh, a puff of smoke ahead. Drivers still all on circuit, and then down through Revolver, pick up that apex, and then use all the track and a little bit of gravel on the exit. These guys fighting over. Oh, as Bradshaw goes round.
And that will require repairs there for Bradshaw. Just got 2 wide, a lost them with going wide. I mean, that's the Super Trucks line, and I said earlier on, if you want to be quick, you shouldn't be running it, but clearly Bradshaw didn't get the memo. Hasn't got too much damage. Probably needs to go a few more minutes, a couple more laps, in order to get to the threshold where he can get to the end of the race on a tank of fuel. Here was Bradshaw, and yeah, he's miles up there. It's not just a case of tipping a wheel into the grass. He was, half his car was on the grass there, and you can see not too much steering damage there for Bradshaw, so he should be alright, but I imagine he will come in ASAP to get his pit stop done and dusted.
Yeah, I was going to mention that most drivers will dip a wheel or two on the exit of that corner during the race at some point and manage to keep it pointing the right way. Bradshaw was most of his car off in the grass, so no wonder it took him for a spin, making contact with the inside wall, but still running, so obviously not too much damage. Oh, as we're watching Castro run wide, number 911, Stevie Ray's up his inside. These guys just fighting to get into the top 20. They've got Gibson and Nelson hot on their heels as well as we go down the longest straight. I call it a straight, it's got a couple of kinks in it. Down the back into the tightest corner on the circuit, turn 5 hairpin, or the heaviest braking point at least, I should say. use that banking to swing it round and then drop through revolver once more. Stevie Ray makes that move up into 20th now, sets his sights on Tom Renders ahead of him. Tom Renders already up a couple of positions after being uncharacteristically low on the grid. Whether he's just not as familiar with this track as everyone else. Oh, as we've got a dive behind, was that Hamda? Number 47 of Hamda makes the move and makes it stick. Excellent work there. That was a really late dive.
Yeah, that's the type of move that you can pull off, particularly around that hairpin, but pretty much all the hairpins, when you've got a long chain of cars, as we've got Burt Kitts, one of the first drives into the pits, and a little bit of a mistake there for, was that Hamda? Maybe, I'm not sure. But just running a little bit wide on the penultimate corner. Yeah, that's one of the sneak moves that you can make around this circuit. When you've got a long queue of cars, everyone's always going to get on the bricks a little bit early because you don't want to run into the back of the driver ahead, so you're going to brake a little bit earlier just to be a bit cautious. And if you have that 3 or 4 times over, then eventually someone's going to brake very early, and it can be very easy to go for that move, and that's what he took advantage of there. So watch out for a few moves like that, particularly in the midfield. And often attack is the best form of defense in that scenario. Norm was overtaken by Marnie for a bit, but he managed to get back past. Now we've got Reyes versus Lynn. Reyes got past Lynn at one point as well, but Lynn returns the favour. Because you don't want to be in the lead, I think it's becoming a bit of a catchphrase for this series. You don't want to be in the lead because you're burning up all your fuel, you're punching a hole through the air, whilst everyone else can put fuel save behind you. And so maybe Arabian is effectively last place out of these top 5, you could argue, because it's inevitable that he's going to have to take an extra second worth of fuel or so, albeit he might be fuel saving himself, but he has got control of the pace, so wouldn't necessarily count on it, but I certainly think Arabian's at a bit of a disadvantage right now.
Yeah, we did see Wang Shilin run a little bit wide at turn 4, which allowed Reyes through, but as you mentioned, immediately fought back into turn 5, used the better momentum, and now he's using that momentum to go past Marnie, it seems, into turn 1. They're side by side. Lin up the inside of Jörg Marnie, claims 3rd place, claims the last podium place for the moment. We're only 10 minutes in though, lots of racing still to go ahead, but this little fight has disjointed these two. These 3 even, the front 2 with about a second's gap now. We don't want to get that any bigger. They want to work together to close that in as quick as they can. But yeah, as you mentioned, Arabian probably using a little bit more fuel. I was interested to see the last couple of laps. He was really looking to stretch out Aeronom and these other 3 drivers. Seems to be trying to grow his half second gap to 6 or 7 tenths. It's not there anymore. Aeronom's taken this lap to really close in. Will it show any interest in the move? It doesn't look like it. No, backs up out early as we head into the braking zone. Osmani, Lin and Reyes try to sort themselves out to form a chase party. In the back you can just see Dobek as well, still there, a little over 4 seconds behind in 6th, with Murakami and Green for company. As we work our way through lap 7, we've got a very definite breakaway 5 now, and then a following, is that 7, 8 cars down to Batenga in 13th? No, it's Andalo in 12th at the back of this one, isn't it?
Dobek will be working hard as well, as yeah, you see Andale top of the Spec 2 drives at the moment. What's his pace like? He's lost a little bit of time to the cars ahead on that last lap, Andale, but I think he eventually they're going to start squabbling a bit in front of him. He should be able to catch up. But yeah, right now it sort of feels like Dobek is that cyclist at the front of the peloton. I'm talking as though I know stuff about cycling, which I really don't, but as far as I'm aware, sometimes you have a scenario where you've got the second pack and maybe you've got a very good cyclist who feels like they should be with the lead pack, and they go at the front and they use up all their energy and they lead for a bit, but they've used up all their energy just to tow everyone along, and then they have to drop to the back. Dobek sort of has that feeling. He's trying really hard to try to catch up, but it's not really quite happening for him at the moment, and he obviously needs some help from behind at the moment. But yeah, leading this channel bit, getting a little bit more sparse as we are going along. He actually was the fastest man on track that last Sunday. Was the German driver. Lidemani still changing positions, and of course that is not going to help them. Also Fitcher and Meyer are alongside. I think that's Victor just getting ahead of Meyer, so he's up into 9th position. He's up 4 places actually from his race start, and now Meyer is having to go defensive against Steve Elson. They've lost a little bit of time squabbling right there, and that's allowed Victor to pull slightly away.
Yeah, Fritcher doing well to climb his way through this little gaggle. Meanwhile, we're back with Renz now. Again, every time we come to him, I mention a poor grid slot. He's up to 16th though now. He's got 3 seconds ahead of him before he gets to Rodriguez, so some work to do if he wants to climb any further. Oh, Saraski makes a move, and then gets a little bit sideways. He's got Favini trying to fight his way back through, but looks like that position is done and dusted for the moment. Render's getting very sideways going into the final corner. I'm not sure what that was in aid of, Sam.
Yeah, not sure if that lost him a bit of time. Yeah, he's got a lot of damage at the back of that car as well. I don't know if we recall having a bit of contact for him, but yeah, he's seemingly not holding him up too much. It's the 227. Ooh, contact! And
sideways
into the
overtake.
well,
No, that's not how you do it.
Another one as well. That was the 73. Who got a bit of contact with Castro, albeit I think he got away with it all, but that went pretty much as bad as it possibly could for those drivers, and I'm sure we'll get a replay of it.
Yeah, that was Favini on the inside, wasn't it? Tried the outbreak on the inside, and for whatever reason, just lost the rear. Whether he was trying to carry too much speed on too tight a line, we'll get a look here. Immediately shoots replay, pulls out. He's got a fairly decent overlap there, but for whatever reason just loses the rear, knocks Haraski off one side, puts a dent in Dudu Castro as well for good measure. But of the 3 of them, it's clearly Favina that's paid the biggest price. Haraski and Castro pretty much getting away with it. Castro in fact making up a couple of positions as a result of that one. Those guys were fighting around the top 20, and now somewhat outside that. I'm not sure where Favini's ended up. I can't spot him anywhere on the timing list, Sam.
He is 29 at the moment.
Oh, we've got another
what's going
big
on here?
incident.
All of a sudden saw a bit
Haraski's
of
in there
change, and now
again.
we've got 4 wide, and they breathed in, went to yeah, Weight Watchers, and managed to squeeze that gap right there. And yeah, that could have been a lot worse. But yeah, what on earth was happening on the exit of that corner?
Well, Haraski's got involved in 2 incidents in 1 lap. He'll be cursing his luck at the end of this one, I imagine. Let's just see if we can't unpick exactly what's gone off in this one. Oh, it's round. It's McCain in front of everyone. And then he just can't go anywhere. He's got a driver in front of him, and then more pile in. Oh, and this is where we join the action. 4 wide. People with a bit more momentum taking advantage. As McCain escaped straight to the pit lane, whether he's picked up damage or just decided to go and hide his face for a few minutes. But yeah, through to the pit lane, and several more cars now with damage. We join Batenga in 19th with the remnants of that particular fight. Still all side by side. We've got 2 by 2 by 2. As Batenga down on the inside of Sancinelli. Sancinelli's going to lose out at least 1, maybe even 2 here. Holds the high line against Girelli as we go through Revolver and into turn 7.
Yeah,
plenty of cars in this
place.
like looking a little bit bent.
Yes.
Sorry, Sam,
yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, no problems. The just seeing the 74. That's not for position. No, it's not for position. Oh, over the grass now for the. What's that? Boitunga right there, and eventually that's Haraski coming into the pit lane, and Sancinelli as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of damage for the drivers, going a little bit wide again. And we cut to our leaders. And it is Arabian still out ahead. Slightly more calm, out in the lead. Linz works hard to try to close that gap a little bit. He runs slightly wide through the long right hand, albeit doesn't necessarily lose some time there. So good work there from Lin and Mani to be able to keep in touch. But still, the top 2 in control. That's Girelli. That's at turn 2. So the Argentinian suddenly going a little bit against him, Sancinelli in the pits, and Girelli now having problems as well. And the pro driver drops to 26th position, albeit these positions mean very little in the midfield at the moment because a remarkable amount of drivers have pitted early on. I don't think we've seen this many early pitters for the whole season, but of course that's explained by the amount of contacts we've had in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, plenty of drivers looking to see if they can't straighten out a panel or two after the starts they've had. Aeronom's decided it's time for him to start leading again, though. Maybe decided that he's got enough fuel saving under his belt, or maybe even that he's too fast to have to worry about that. But yeah, Aeronom, as we come to the end of lap 11, out in the lead again. Perhaps even he's watching the three behind him, deciding he wants to be just the two of them out front. As we head to a replay, let's see just exactly how he did this. Looks like a straight draft move, pulling in up behind Arabian, pulls out, and Arabian offers no defence at this point, as you wouldn't. We're only 20 minutes into the race. No point in overly defensive driving at this point. It's only going to cost you time against your rivals. So those two now switch round. Aeronom leads the way, and immediately, oh, Marnie's actually up in third now. So it's Marnie trying to chase them down. Chilin loses out and back into fourth. Antonio Reyes with the pound seats. He's just sitting there following these guys, hoping that they'll do all the work to get back to the front. Very safe in the knowledge that he's out ahead. In the Masters category, as Wang Shilin decides he's going back in front. I don't know whether these guys are just swapping down the main straights using the extra momentum of the draft, or they're genuinely fighting at this point. But either way, they're about a second off the front two.
I think it is that swapping that they're trying to do, but of course the much better way of doing that is the bump drafting, because you're constantly putting each other offline. It's just a bit unsettling whenever you have to change your line and you're dealing with a car alongside you. Arabian's had a couple of iffy corners though. There you can see the gap going up to 0.6 of a second between him and Nom, and that will give a bit more of a draft as well to Lin. I wonder if Nom took the lead there just because he felt like Arabian wasn't going quite fast enough to make that gap to the following three. And so Nom thinks, I'll lead for a little bit, let's see if we can properly pull away. But that's not working so far. Lin getting a nice draft down the pit straight, and the closer he gets, the stronger the draft gets. And look at that 40.3, that is really quite fast. That's quarter of a second faster than any lap that Arabian has put together so far. So Lin bringing himself back into play, and he's bringing the others along with him. Really good battle, by the way, currently for 32nd position. This involves a couple of drivers who have pitted and a couple of drivers who haven't pitted, but I see they're very close on the track at the moment. And yeah, this involves Castro and Booster Favini, who of course we saw had issues earlier on, and Wallbolt as well. Wallbolt yet to pit, however.
Has Brewster pitted as well? I know Favino and Castro have.
He
I'm
has.
just checking on my...
Albeit he
there
pitted
is.
on lap
He's
6, so he'll be pushing it for fuel, but he should get to the end by my reckoning.
Yeah, I'd expect 6 laps. It's a fairly long lap here for these cars. 1 minute and 40, 100 seconds to get all the way round. As Brewster's just... oh, it's actually Castro went in hot there. I thought for a second that Brewster had braked earlier, but it was actually Castro out braking himself. As we flick to Jason Green now. Up in 7th place, he's got Chris Murakami for company, and then there's not much of a pack behind them anymore. At one point, this was a pack from 6th down to 13th, wasn't it? But it's all got a little bit strung out now. Jason Green trying to get after Dobek, as Aero Nom is the first of our front runners into the pits. So as he wants some time alone, it looks like. See if he can't set the hot laps and pull away relative to those other 4. Box his box right at the end of the pit lane. If you qualify on pole, you get a last place pit box at the far end of the pit lane, and that leaves just a front 4 now, and it is a front 4. They're all back together now. Some excellent work from Lin. We already mentioned a new fastest lap of a 140.3 on the previous lap, and it's brought these guys all back together again. And just see if any of them decide to make a pit stop next time out. Don't want to leave Aero Nom on his own for too long. That can give him a win, an easy win, if you're not careful, if you're not aware of what he's up to. As we go to him now, he's out of the pits, he's stuck up behind the number 74 at the moment, who is definitely a back marker. Oh, as he flicks to the inside, very late move there. And in fact, he's overshot the corner, you know, that's costing him time. He'll be shaking his fist out of the window if you don't move over quick for him.
Yeah, and this has become a little bit of a standard thing for Aeronom. Recently, seems to come into the pits early a lot of the time. Didn't really work for him at Spa. I'm surprised he's done it this time because the others don't really show any signs of fighting against one another as Lin takes the lead. As Arabian just made a mistake. Oh, Arabian's into the pits. Arabian. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Maybe could Arabian and Nom be working together here? But again, I would have thought Arabian would just stay out. But of course, as you were saying before, you don't want to leave Nom by himself for too long. And so Arabian's just covering off that one. But it has left him a bit exposed to Lin, Marnie and Reyes.
I'll be very interested to see where he comes out relative to Nom after Nom had to deal with Mr. Harris there for the first half of the lap out of the pit lane. We're looking at Paul Jackson at the moment, down in 17th place. Another of our Spec 2 drivers. I'm looking for Aero Nom. He must be just ahead of these guys, and he's ahead of Nom. There he is. We cut to it just as Aero Nom snatches what is effectively the lead off the nose of Arabian, but these two very much still together. Now, they haven't got those three tracking them anymore, so let's see if they can build a gap when it's just the two of them, and they're not watching their mirrors, fretting over whether the remaining drivers will catch them.
Yeah, and how long were their pit stops? So barely average for the pair. Then the shortest pit stop we've had so far is Ayub Hamda, who apologies, it wasn't Hamda, it was Burkett, apologies, who did it in 9.9 seconds. We also had Mitchell, although that was so that doesn't count. But yeah, 9.9 seconds is the shortest we've had, as we have a couple more drives into the pits. I'm not sure, Adam, but I imagine this is quite a high fuel consumption circuit, a lot of hairpins, so you're kind of building up speed and then you're wasting all of it away. So I guess maybe won't get to the half-an-hour mark on fuel this week.
Well, we mentioned one drive coming in after 8 minutes, didn't we? And maybe they would just about get there. Oh, as we flick to a replay of Simon Mayer. Made a boo-boo on the way into the pit. No, he's made a boo-boo a little bit earlier in the lap. Goes around, just as we saw Alan McCain do. Oh, and then some self-inflicted damage there. There's a wall there, Simon. Not the most gracious of rejoins, that one, I'm afraid. And he'll be disappointed to know that it was all live streamed for us to watch. Meanwhile, we have had two more of our lead pack in, haven't we? Reyes and Marnie have come in. How have they come out relative to our other two pros? I'm watching Jeff Richard at the moment. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Reyes has actually come out ahead of Marnie impressively, and still within draft of the front two. So they've all been into the pits, minus Guangxi Lin, who's out there on his own at the moment, and they've all come out together. So we are going to have a barnstormer of an end, I imagine, between these four. But hopefully 5 when Lin does finally come in. Although Guangxi Lin tends to be a driver who goes very tight on the pit stops, doesn't he? He likes a short pit stop, does Guangxi, and it can vault him ahead of whatever pack he's racing at times.
Yeah, we saw it last time out at Nürburgring, didn't we? And I think he was saying after the race that if it went one more lap, then he would have been in trouble. The race went one lap less than in the officials, and that may have been why he was able to save a bit of fuel. Interesting that that Marnie, despite being in the draft for most of that stint, as far as I can recall, had a slightly longer pit stop. He was 2 seconds longer stationary, or well, 1.5 seconds longer stationary than his rivals. Otherwise, he may have been at the front of that train. But he's still just about within draft range, so he should be able to catch up. He's had good pace so far. As Jürg Marnie, as a couple more drivers are in, Boytenga, Still the top 6 are yet to pit, and they've got a decent gap over these guys who have pitted, along with Love and Nelson Jackson Kern, all still need to pit as well. It looks like Flavio Andelo is going to keep the lead of the amateur drivers, and obviously Reyes looking very good in the lead of the Masters as well. When the pit stops are sort of
about a 27-second time loss through the pit lane, certainly for our front few anyway, to put Murakami well back behind Reyes to the tune of probably about 10 seconds. As we're watching Flavio Andalo right now, he's in 16th place. Our lead Spec 2 driver who has pitted. We've got Bradshaw behind him. And Harris, our back marker, makes another appearance, just getting out of the way somewhat easier than he did for Aero Nom earlier in the race.
Big train right now behind Jacobson, by the way. Going back to Nunes. I think 5 cars separated by about a second. See that there's a little bit of a gap now between the top 2, so Jacobson with Haraski to fend off, but once these guys battle for a couple of corners, no doubt the field will come back close, albeit Jacobson giving that one up a little bit early, a little bit easy that is, and Haraski moves ahead, but yeah, they are all back together again. Yeah, this one being rounded out by Nunes at the back.
Yeah, Haraski making use of all the track and the gravel a little bit there. It's something that you can do on the exit of turn 5. Turn 6, run out a little bit wide, and then pick up the adjoining road from the short course, and get it flicked into turn 7 a little bit better. It's not something I'd recommend you do every lap, because there are penalty points in operation tonight. Pick up enough off tracks, you'll be taking the trip through the pits to serve a penalty, or if you're making contact with your fellow drivers, that'll rack up the penalty points even quicker for yourself. Just looking at the lap times at the moment, Rongshi Lin and Aero Nom pretty much setting identical times for the last couple of laps, 41.0s. Very impressively, Michael Dobek down into a 40.7. So we mentioned he was slowly falling off the back of the pack earlier. Well, now he's only got Lin to chase. Oh, and as we talk about him, into the pits he comes, making a very quick entrance there, I must say, using every inch, cutting the grass on the inside of part 2 of the pit entry as well. Gets it down to the brake markers. Oh, as behind we've got 2 coming in side by side. That's not normally an overtaking opportunity. I don't know who that was in the background.
Yo. So yeah, a fixture involved in that one, and yeah, also the 319 of Baglini there. I think Baglini holding
lost
them up
Marnie
a little bit.
Sorry, Sam. Marnie's very long way off the back of these 3 all of a sudden. There's Dobek. Dobek's going to be ahead of Marnie at this rate. The front 3 effectively charge into turn 1 at the start of lap 19. There's Dobek, promoted to 4th at the moment, and Marnie, for whatever reason, he's suddenly lost about 3 seconds there. I wonder if we'll be able to catch up to exactly how that's unfolded. We do have a replay coming up. Jonathan's in my ear telling me that there might be something to witness here. Let's see as he goes through turn 1. Oh, he's overcooked it. Yep, overcooked it. Sideways. Oh, it's nice car control. Very nice on the drift scene, but it's not what you want in Weekend Warriors. I don't know how many points would you award that, Sam. I think it's a solid 8 from me.
Yeah, I think 8 would be good. I think maybe the bronze medal worthy of that one. I think at least that's my reaction whenever I spin. I just lodge on the brakes, and I don't know if that's what you're meant to do, or whether actually it's better to leave off the brakes. Green coming into the pits. Me saying how, oh, this is a high fuel consumption circuit because there's lots of hairpins, I think I was totally wrong, because Lin is going on and on and on and on out there. Paces of 41.05, that's good. That's good pace for Lin, as far as I can work out. So this could be very profitable when he comes into the pits. Wouldn't be surprised if he comes out on top of everyone of it. You can see there Nom, Arabian and Reyes all in the 40s right there, so gained by a couple of tenths of a second. Wow, this is close. All of these have pitted, pretty much everyone has pitted now out on circuit. A couple of errant drivers do still need to do more and more, but pretty much everyone is finished. At the front of this pack, this is the Haraski one, they're back again in 19th position now, and he's dragging all his drivers along. Jacobson's had a few pole laps because he was ahead of Haraski at one point, wasn't he? But now he's, what, 5 positions behind?
Yeah, I think every time we cut to this sort of midfield battle, something's gone wrong for someone somewhere, hasn't it? It's a little bit crazy in the midfield. Oh, Brewster, I thought was lining up. The number 31 of Samoas is lining up. Andrew Love down the inside, makes his move, currently in 23rd. Through turn 2, and yeah, as you mentioned, Wang Qilin, excellent consistency, 41 flat after 41 flat, and as I mentioned it, in he comes. He's managed 33 minutes of this 40-minute race on a single tank of fuel, and slows it right down on the pit limiter. Applying for his box, he'll be somewhere at the far end. Moves into what is an empty pit lane and picks up his spot. Just a few seconds of fuel as the rest of the pack round the penultimate corner. The final corner even, sorry. Got a little bit confused by the camera angle, and Wang Qilin's away out of the up to full pace. Can he get ahead? Yes, he's ahead. He's ahead out in the lead. Aero Nom comes round at race pace, but Wang Qilin, an excellent short pit stop, has got in the lead.
Yeah, shortest pit stop of everyone, 1 second quicker than Reyes and 2 seconds quicker than Nom, and that was the difference. Otherwise, he would have been undoubtedly in 4th position. Now he's got to hold on to it till the end of the race, a 5.5 minute shootout. This is the scenario that we want to see in Spec Racer Force. I do like the strategy element of it, no doubt. I think the drivers appreciate it as well, but it's this wheel-to-wheel action that we always crave on a Sunday evening. And Nom is about to deliver it for us. He's on the outside. What can Arabian do behind Arabian? He's going to maybe be able to go down the inside of the pair of them. Here he goes. He's going to get one of them. Nom takes the lead, but Arabian gets the pair, and that is going to be one of the moves of the season. He had a lovely run on the back of the pair of them. Nom had to pull out early. That compromised his momentum as he had to push into that air, and it's Arabian then goes from 3rd to 1st in a corner.
Yeah, we had 30 minutes of no, after you, let's all work together. The second all the pit stops have done, it's kicked off. We've only got probably 4 laps left to run, so everyone's very aware of any position they can make now. We're going to put them in good stead as we approach the white flag and then the checkered flag. Arabian snatches away the lead. I thought there was going to be contact there, going to side of Lynn and trying to sort it all out at the apex, but these guys are obviously professionals with this car. They know how to control them. As Aero Nom basically shoving Arabian into the braking point there. My goodness, I thought he was going to punt him out of the way for a half a second. Wang Qilin look to repay the favour on these two as we head back to the back of the circuit, and Reyes, as ever, calm and collected at the back of the pack, just watching the show in front of him. We'll see if he decides to throw his hat in the ring in the next couple of laps. Dobek still about 3 seconds off the back of this. But the more they fight, the more interested he'll get. As Marnie as well, pretty much in no man's land now, down in 6th. He's disconnected from these guys. He's disconnected from anyone behind him. A lonely finish to the race for him. As Nom pulls out on Arabian. Side by side into the braking zone again. Lynn decides he wants the outside line. Oh, it's Nom deep. Gets it stopped though, and he's going to have the right hand side of the track. Yes, and clears Arabian just about.
Nom is so late on the brakes into that hairpin, isn't he? And last time it was a little bit too deep. This time he got it absolutely perfect. And he now takes the lead. Nom and Arabian, of course, have been leading for pretty much this entire race. Lynn only took the lead, I think, very briefly in what I guess Arabian. I guess he went very far in that first stint, didn't he, Lynn? But on the most part, at least, it's been Nom and Arabian at the front, and I have not been able to split the pair of them. We've got just 2 more laps to go. It might be a question of you wanting to be in second place going on to the last lap. And you can see there Arabian actually dipping out of the slipstream, really trying to break the slipstream slightly to Lin as well, because he knows he'll be able to catch up to Nom around this part of the lap and be able to get past him into hairpin. Or will he wait behind and leave it for a last lap lunge? Because, well, at least we've seen Nom make it very possible on the last 2 attempts.
Yeah, the only problem with being in second, as we just saw there, you've then got to have the attentions of third and fourth place in your mirrors as well. You've got to have eyes front and backwards in that situation. The leader only has to look behind him for an attack that he knows is coming. Let's see if it happens this time. Penultimate lap of the race. Nom hugs the white line down the right-hand side. Arabian gets his draft. Let's see how long before he pulls out. There he is. He's out down the left-hand side. Nom moves him to the left-hand side of the track. Lin's right in there. Decides not to make it 3 wide on this occasion. Arabian picking up around the outside. He's not going to get the overlap, is he? Oh, he might just. No, has to back out of it, breaking into a revolver there. And there we can see it. You can hold them off. So maybe first place is the position to be as we enter the final lap.
Yeah, Nom just seems a bit more confident, doesn't he, on the brakes, on the outside on the last lap. I don't think Nom was a whole lot further ahead than what Arabian was on that time round. But Nom just so brave, and of course, once you get down to the last lap, that's a wide hairpin. You gotta just brake as late as you possibly can. I mean, Arabian's going to try to go around the outside for sure. He's not going to try to get the cut back, I imagine, unless he pulls a very sneaky attempt. So Nom's just got to almost wait for Arabian to brake and then brake a meter later or so, surely. He's super close across the front start-finish line. And on the last lap, he was a couple of tenths behind going onto the back straight. He could work on that, could Arabian, and that might give him a slightly better chance. What can Lin do? We know how aggressive he can be at Phillip Island when it turns out that he was able to take the race victory. But he's going to have to work very hard. Yes, I think just counting on all these guys colliding. Will Lin send one up the inside of Arabian? Arabian feels the need to go a little bit defensive. That might compromise him slightly, albeit it's a nice run for second and third position. And Nom is going to have to go defensive for the second lap in a row.
Oh, I thought Arabian was going to give Lin the inside line for half a second there. He's not in the draft of Aero Nom. It's not the best of position, I'd say, from Ferenz. Oh, but he's suddenly... Oh, is it a sneaky one? It's a sneaky one. He's tricked us all, and he's down the inside late on the brakes. Oh, and he's lost it. He's lost it. He's round. Nom's round 2. And Reyes takes the lead. Our Masters driver's in the lead with only a handful of corners left to go.
Can he hold on to it though? That's going to be the question. Lin's surely going to send it if he has half an opportunity. Reyes, who's been so passive for this entire race, Lin's in line, but that's surely his best opportunity gone. Reyes just got to defend middle of the circuit in order to hold on against Lin. Lin at least asked to go down the inside. He always makes contact. Great driving though from Reyes to leave a little bit of room, and he's surely home and dry now.
With just 2 corners left to go for his first victory in the series as a Masters driver. Number 914 enter. Oh, he's out on the gravel. Oh, he's going to throw it all away. This is Lin's win to take. Lin, with the better momentum, snatches it from Reyes. Oh, Reyes. Oh, my heart goes out to you, Antonio. You had that one in the bag. Guangxi Lin takes a charity victory. Dobek picks up the final position on the podium.
That is such a shame. And the gravel really being a penalty for running out wide there. But he fought so hard. I was so impressed by his runs through the hairpin. Didn't go too defensive against Lin. Lin, to be fair, I think was going to set up for second position. Whose fault was this one? I think Arabian lost control of the car on entry. Yeah, and then he was quite wide, wasn't he? Bad luck for our championship leader Aero Nom to get contact from that one. But well, I think all of them deserve the race win, but well, Lin certainly deserves it as well. That long stint really worked well for him. It brought him right into play, and what a final lap. One of the races of the season.
I think we say that every week, don't we? Last week at the Nürburgring we had it 3 wide across the line. This week, I didn't know, well, you couldn't have predicted the winner, could you? It changed about 5 times on that last lap. First it was going to be definitely Aero Nom, then it was going to be Arabian for a split second, then Reyes had it sewn up, and at the line it's going to be Guangxi Lin. How did Reyes throw this one away? He seems to have it all under control, picks up the apex nicely, and then for whatever reason, just overruns it. Wang Shilin makes the perfect exit, as he has done lap after lap after lap. And as I said, picks up what was effectively a charity victory there. No one else wanted it.
We get an onboard of that final lap for Reyes, because you're absolutely right. He got the apex. I mean, he slowed down well, got the apex, perfect first half the corner. Then it just seemed like he got on the power a bit too early, and it's so unusual because Reyes was so consistent for the rest of the race. We barely saw him pick up any incidents. I mean, I'll look at his incident count right now. That was his second incident of the race. The second incident of the entire race was on the last corner, and yeah, he just didn't really slow down, maybe mid-corner enough, and that's what cost him the race win. That's terrible. One off track for the first 40 minutes, and then one right at the end.
Yeah, it's not always the most accurate thing that's simulated, but the steering wheel, you could see he was still trying to crank on the steering as he was passing the apex, which was a sure sign that he was understeering off the track, unfortunately. But that opened the door to our winner. Wang Shilin takes his second win of the season, coming home just a tenth and a half ahead of Antonio Reyes. Heartbreak as they approach the line. Michael Dobek makes it up to third amongst the Chaos Friends. Arabian, after a late incident trying to snatch the win, comes home fourth. Jorg Marni in fifth. Jason Green in sixth. Steve Ellison picks up seventh. Chris Murakami, Spec Masters leader, comes home in eighth in what was a fairly lonely race, I think. Jeff Fritscher in ninth, ahead of Flavio Andalo in 10th. Jesus Rodriguez picks up 11th, and Simon Mayer in 12th. I should mention Flavio, the winner of our Spec 2. Thomas Renders climbs his way all the way up to 13th, and second in Spec 2, ahead of series organiser Stevie Ray in 14th. Marcus Burkitt 15th, ahead of Edgar Sanchinelli. Johan Batenga in 17th, ahead of Andrew Love. Kurt Nunez and Andrea Favini make up your top 20, ahead of Jeff Jacobson, Felix Simons and Michael Nelson. Alan McCain in 24th, ahead of Bob Kern, Jamie McGuinness and Jim Brewster. Paul Jackson in 28th and 29th in Gibson. Those two coming across the line pretty much neck and neck in a big battle pack there from 24th down. In 30th, Sergio Dorelli and Miro Hraski. After a tough race, we saw him involved in at least two, maybe even three incidents there. Ultimately ends up 31st, ahead of Adam Bradshaw and Darren Kern. Charlie Vaccaro in 34th for Captain Norris Brewing Racing. Steve Mitchell and Aero Nom didn't complete the final lap. I'm not sure if he suffered damage in that one. I wouldn't expect it, but obviously didn't make it to the flag. First of our drivers a lap down as a result. Gary Walbolt in 37th, with Bradford Gould in 38th. 39th for Mike Lucas. Jason Dunnington, Michael Vagliani and Brian Harris in 42nd. Dudu Castro 9 laps down. First of our drivers not to make the flag, I believe, there, ahead of Ayu Hamda. Juice Simpkins, Jackin Effinger, Chris Montgomery and Nicholas A. Jones, all suffering some sort of issue tonight. Well, I've got to catch my breath back. I don't know, Sam, if you've got yours and feel like using it to interview a driver or two. Is there anyone you've got lined up for us?
Yes, well, I'll drag in our race winner. Yangtze Lin joins us in the commentary box. Wow, what a race win. We'll go to the final corner. I imagine you couldn't believe your luck when you saw Reyes run wide at that final corner.
Yes. It was a very traumatic last lap, but I was in a bad way. I mean, after the crash happened, I thought maybe it's Antonio's day. Maybe he will get his first win. But then he went off on the last turn. That's a really common mistake on this track, actually. A lot of people enter the last turn a little bit too early and then ended up washing out mid-turn and into the gravel.
Talk us through as well that hairpin incident. I know you were saying that it wasn't particularly good. You seem to not have any faults of it, but just seem to get caught up in what happened ahead of you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Forens recently has been known as a hard racer. Let me put it this way. And, I think he will go for some risky moves sometime. I mean, his last lap 3 wide is fair, but I feel like you just gotta hold your car. So, I mean, Forens. Well, let me put it this way. So if I want to make a move, I need to make sure that I won't lose my car mid-turn and or run into someone. If I see that is a possibility, I won't make the move even on the last lap. I mean that's just our personalities. That's me. That's probably why I have a lot less wins than Forens or Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, we did see that on the last lap. I mean, I was expecting you to dive it down the inside at that penultimate hairpin, but you were a bit hesitant, and well, in the end, you got the race win through it. Talk us through as well that long first stint. Everyone else was pitting early, but you decided to stay out as long as possible. Was there any doubt in your mind? Was there ever a moment, maybe 5 laps earlier than that, maybe on the 25-minute mark, where you thought that you wanted to come into the pits, or were you committed to going all the way from the start?
No, I mean that's just my typical race. I mean we know that in this league we have a Stevie Ray strategy, as pit as early as possible. Well, I usually do the opposite. I pit as late as possible. As long as I see no no reason that I will lose time because I pit late. On some heavy draft tracks such as Phillip Island, you really want to pit as in a similar time as others to stay in draft after pit. But this track there's a lot of drafting, and if you pitted too early, you might get stuck in traffic. And I got pretty lucky. There were only 2 or 3 lapped cars that let me by, and I was out there alone.
Yeah, worked really well for you. Really well deserved second win of the season tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Obviously, the usual staff. Thank you guys for broadcasting it, and thanks Mr. Stevie Ray organizing the race. I mean, Phillip Island was really a hard-fought win, but this one maybe is my lucky Scottish paint. But yeah, this it's not how I wanted to end, but I guess I'll take it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck for round 10 of the championship.
Thank
you. Yangtze Lin there, your race winner tonight. Who are you going to have a chat with now, Adam?
Well, Sam, you've taken the victorious interview. I'm going to take the tragic interview. Antonio, you join us from the second spot on the podium. You must have had your eyes on the prize right up until the last meter there.
Because I didn't believe on that, or because I was too happy about that. Maybe I don't want to give excuses, but that mistake was very unexpected on the last corner. I don't know why I did that, but it was really avoidable. Anyway, I saw it escaping from the middle of my fingers. Ah, no, I could have a win. Anyway, it happens. It happens. It's racing.
You're telling us it was unexpected, Antonio. We were shouting your praises. You came through the last couple of corners.
I didn't want to disappoint you guys, but anyway, sorry about that.
I mean, you obviously you basically drove the perfect race. You qualified so high up in 5th position, stayed with the front pack, just biding your time off the back, and then it all came to fruition for you on that last lap. Apart from the final corner, how did you feel your race went?
Oh, it was really good. I was really happy. I was kind of having fun with the guys. You know, these guys are so friendly. Everyone know each other, and then so we respect each other, and then we are so happy to be together and racing together. Yeah, basically, it was my main kind of a feeling I was feeling through all the time. And it's nice to be in the front. Always nice. It's something but anyway, being in the front, on the middle, On the back is not something very enjoyable, but it's kind of a good feeling to be there and then have fun with the guys in the front. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wonder if you've got an opinion on that incident between Ferenz and Aero on the last lap that opened the door for you. We've already heard from Guangxi.
I have to check the replay. Actually, I don't know. After see the replay, then I will see what happened to them. I was a little bit worried, and then I just brake earlier than usual. I tried to figure it out what was going to happen, where the cars was going to which direction. So I was trying to get the right way, not to hit any of them. But yeah, it was unfortunately for the guys in the front.
Yeah, so not quite the result you were hoping for tonight. Still winner in the Masters category. That's got to count for something. Next week we're off to Sebring. Is that a personal favourite of yours?
Next track is which one? Oh, sorry.
It's Sebring.
It's Sebring. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's not my favorite actually. I don't like very much that track. It's too bumpy. But we'll see. I always be having fun with the guys, and I always wait for the weekend to stay with them. It's a good bunch of guys, so yeah, I'll be there. If there is no Formula One, it's in Barcelona, so yeah. Last time the Formula One race coincided with the Spec Weekend Warriors, so I couldn't join because of that. But yeah, this next weekend I'll be on the Sebring, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did notice somewhat of a drop in participation last week, but thanks for joining us tonight anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
We look forward to seeing you race next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, have a good one. See you.
And I believe that probably draws us to an end, Sam. And there are a few more drivers waiting, but I think we're at the end of the broadcast. Or do you think we've got time for a quick one?
Maybe a very quick one with our Spec 2 race winner, Flavio Andelo. Congratulations, Flavio. What a race. Quite comfortably, the Spec 2 winner. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Sam. It's really great to be here again.
It seems like a good battle for yourself and, well, certainly Fitcher by the end of the race, but I think in the early stages you were having some battles with a fair few judges. Seemed very competitive on the outskirts of that top 10.
Well, actually, I was just trying to follow him because it was not my fight, right? I was in the lead of the Spec 2, so there was no reason to fight him. So I was just trying to keep up with him. And it's really great that I got this win because last week I had a horrible race. A guy took me out and I was really pissed off. So it's a great comeback to be here again.
Absolutely. And next up we head to a unique circuit. It's Sebring, but the club layouts. Have you raced that circuit much in your iRacing career?
Oh yeah, we had this track a couple of seasons before, and it's really fun. There's a weird turn that you almost can't see, but we had some great races there with the Spec Racer. It's gonna be a fun track, but it's hard, but it's fun.
Awesome. Well, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Flavio?
Oh, as always to Stevie for organizing this, for you guys for the broadcast. It's always great to watch before, and all the drivers in this community. There's always great to be part of it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with Flavio. Best of luck next time.
Thank you.
Flavio Andelo there, winner in the Spec 2 category, 10th place overall. I don't need to, and again, the series has pitched me up for this one, but the club layout, the only experience I've got of that one was taking the lead of the BSR Radical Winter Series Championship, Adam. So thanks to the Spec Racer 4 community for selecting that circuit. Didn't do very well there. The cameras for that take the mantle for the worst default iRacing cameras on the entire sim, and that's saying something because the standard cameras are pretty awful anyway. So I will be mocking up some cameras for that place. But yeah, it's a weird layout, weird cut through, lots of corners, and probably a tricky circuit to overtake, I imagine.
And if there was no reason to join us, there you go from Sam there. Come and join us next week for the weirdest track and weirdest cameras, unless Sam managed to replace those. We're coming to the end of our broadcast, so I best say thanks to all the drivers who have joined us here tonight, putting on a show once again, and of course to our sponsor RaceVoice. Go fast with the speed of voice. Next time out, as we mentioned, we're at Sebring. Before that, though, I imagine we've got a few more races being broadcast here on Apex Racing TV. Sam, have you got anything lined up for our viewers to watch next?
Yes, we have Rick Motec Classic Sprint Series coming up tomorrow. That's round 2 of that series. The Shake and Bake Racing Elite Euro Road Series as well. That will also be on Tuesday morning, Monday evening for Americans. And then also the ARL GT3 Trophy. That is the penultimate round from Brands Hatch. That'll be on Tuesday evening. Nordic F3 Series. That is on Thursday. The VSCA Sports Car Championship. That'll be on Saturday. I'm not familiar with that one actually, but thumbnail looks cool, so make sure to watch out that one. And then also the Formula 3.5 next Saturday. And then of course you'll be back with us in this weekly Weekend Warriors series as well. So plenty of stuff coming up on Apex Racing TV.
That's great. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Sam. And as ever to Jonathan on the cameras. If you've enjoyed our broadcast tonight, take the time to click like or subscribe to the Apex Racing TV channel. Or alternatively, you'll find us on your favourite social media. Just search Apex Racing TV. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed our racing tonight.